Hi, today we're going to do a lecture on Chapter 1 of Economics, Basic Economic Concepts. We've already read about scarcity in the science of economics, and we all know that the essential question is answering what is the fundamental economic problem and the three basic economic questions every society must decide in order to solve that problem. And then we gave you the example of, did you know we witnessed scarcity with each year's hot new toy? Cabbage Patch dolls were the big thing in the 80s. I know I desperately wanted one. And then Tickle Me Elmos in 1996. I did not want one of those. People stood in long lines and paid ridiculously high prices to get these popular toys just to make their little children happy. Nice parents. The fundamental economic problem that all economists are trying to help answer and understand is scarcity. And scarcity is that condition where unlimited human wants are facing very limited resources, and eventually those will run out and we can't replenish them. Economics is the study of how people satisfy wants with those scarce resources. So, how do we meet what we want with what we would desire, and how do we do that? And needs, what do we have to have in order to survive? And we're also going to touch briefly on price gouging. So today we're seeing this with toilet paper and other essential items that people are panic buying right now during this coronavirus pandemic and shelter-in-place orders. We've all been hearing on the news about lack of toilet paper and hand sanitizer. And some people have been buying this because they want to use the opportunity to resell these essential items for a much higher price, which is considered higher than unreasonable or fair. And this is known as price gouging. And many states have laws that are opposed to this, especially when we're having times of emergency. Then I did give you this example here where you can see that this Quilted Northern pack is 6 rolls for $52.95. So if you were to go on eBay, you too could go buy some $52.95 toilet paper if your family's desperate. This one's a little bit more reasonably priced. The Charmin is $23.79, but also still a little expensive. And that takes us to the TNSTAAFL, or there is no such thing as a free lunch. Really, somebody has to pay the production cost. So even if it may be free for you, it's not free for the company that produced it or the workers or anything like that who had to give up labor for it. So really, we pay for things all the time, whether it's in monetary or time value. In economics, we need to answer 3 basic questions. What must we produce? So society needs to choose based on its needs what we're going to be producing. In America, because we are capitalistic, we produce a whole bunch of things. There are demands for them because if we didn't demand them, then people just wouldn't produce it. How should we produce it? What's going to be the best utilization of our resources? And how can we maximize that? And for whom should we produce? Who's going to buy it? Who wants it? So, who wants to Tickle Me Elmo in 1996, or a Cabbage Patch doll in the 80s, or even toilet paper today? Everybody today. Production is creating goods and services, results of the big 4: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So, factors of production are those things. How can we make it? So we have things like land, where we use and grow what we need; labor, that's us, the people who help produce it and manufacture it or whatever we do; and capital, which is the investments and things like that people put into making their business successful; and entrepreneurship, the person or group of people who come up with that brilliant idea that makes a success. Production is creating goods or services, and as a result of using all 4 of those. So we'll talk about the first one, land. Society has limited natural resources. Once we use it, it's going to be gone and we can't replenish it. And that's why some things like the metals that go in electronics have a higher value because there's so many electronic parts that we've been manufacturing. Capital, this is the means by which something's produced, such as money, tools, equipment, machinery, and factories. And I told you, think about this. It's the things you need to invest in to get your company up and started. So you need to have a building if you're going to make a factory. You need to have cash to help get that up and running because you have to pay your employees. You need to buy machines. You also have to pay the rent and the utilities on that building, and you also have the machines to help you get that business going. So that's all going to be part of capital. Labor is the workers who use their efforts, their skills, and everything like that to help make things productive. Those of you who have jobs, you're all part of the labor market. Entrepreneurship. These are people who are risk takers and they take all these things together, that land, the labor, and the capital, and they turn it into a new bright idea that will become successful. Bill Gates and Microsoft, this guy with a cool light bulb, things like that. So this is going to be chapter 1, section 2, basic economic concepts is going to be part of this. And the essential question here is, what is the relationship among scarcity, value, utility, and wealth? So goods, services, and consumers. We utilize all of these. We're the consumers. Goods are the tangible, physical things that we buy that we want to use as a need or to satisfy our wants. Services are jobs that are performed somebody and they're intangible. So services are things like hairdressers, servers, and like restaurants. Even teachers provide a service. Our education is not tangible, it's just what's in your head and how you apply it. And then consumers, we're all consumers. We use both goods and services to help get what we want in life. Value, utility, and wealth. Value is the worth expressed in dollars and cents. Scarcity by itself is not enough to create value. It has to have some kind of purpose, a utility to it. Utility is that, exactly. It's a good or service's capacity to provide satisfaction. And this varies with the needs and wants of each person. So maybe I really want to have ice cream and it makes me happy, but my husband's not in the mood for ice cream and it's not what he wants. Wealth is the accumulation of goods that are tangible, scarce, useful, and transferable. And that's important. You can transfer it. So a lot of wealthy people like to buy famous artwork because it holds its value. And then when they start to run out of money, they can sell it to somebody else or they can transfer it to get some other kind of like wealth or whatever they need for that time. And wealth does not include services. There's an interesting concept called paradox of value. So, the paradox of value is, why is something that's relatively essential for life so cheap? So, water, for example, water is really cheap for us, but we have to have it to live. If we don't drink water, we're going to dehydrate and die. However, why are we going to spend so much money on diamonds that are not essential to our life and we're not going to die if we don't have them? Although some people may say that. And the answer is scarcity. We have water everywhere, although it is drying up in some places and it's becoming more like salt water and things. But diamonds are rare, even though you can manufacture them in the lab. But if you want natural diamonds, they're pretty scarce. They're going to run out of them eventually. And so the equation is scarcity plus utility equals the value. Another economic concept is the circular flow of economic activity. So markets are locations / mechanisms for buyers and sellers to trade. So we can go to the supermarket, we can go to the farmer's market, we could go to the black market. These are all ways for people to exchange money and goods or things like that. A factor market's where people earn their incomes. Factor markets center on 4 factors of production: the land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurs. Remember the big 4. And a product market is where people use their income to buy from the producers. Product markets center on goods and services. So we can start with, here are the individuals. And you can see in one way, the green with the dollar signs, this is the way the money flows. It flows in one direction. The blue arrows are the way that the goods and services and things like that, the materials flow in the opposite direction. So here we have the individual. The individual will go work in the factor market and provide their goods and services. And then the businesses will get those services and provide them to the product market. Okay. In exchange, businesses pay for those resources in the factor market, and that goes as income for resources to the people. The people take their income and they spend it at the malls or the supermarkets or wherever, and then that money goes back to whatever business in form of income. Productivity is a measure of the output produced by the amount of inputs within a certain time. Productivity increases use of scarce resources. This means that the more productive a company is and the more orders it has to fill, the more scarce resources it needs to use in order to meet that demand. Specialization and division of labor may improve productivity because they lead to more proficiency and greater interdependence. So here they're trying to help specialized production to make it faster, more efficient, and more cost effective. Investing in human capital